This video was brought to you by my patrons, specifically Logan Shepard Scally.
Fuck you, Ash. From Besiege to Kerbal Space Program, early access games have revolutionized the games industry, allowing developers to fund their projects with sales in order to actually fucking finish them. Pretty slamming idea from both sides of the coin, right? Well, there's a pretty big fucking problem. There's no guarantees. There's just nothing. You can't guarantee that the developers are ever going to finish that game and you're ever going to get a return on your investment. But I am getting ahead of myself. I have the script next to me. I read too far ahead and got confused. Don't worry about it. Let's start with a consumer point of view, shall we? My first example is coming from one of my favorite games. Y'all know it. Y'all love it. I've made a fucking 3.5 hour video about it. Yandere Simulator. Shit! Okay. This is gonna be a fun one. Also, sorry if I sound a bit off. I'm fucking ill. Sue me. The game effectively entered early access in 2015, and when I say effectively entered early access, what I mean was a playable version was released. It's 2022 now, the game's not done, but that's a topic for a different fucking video, Alex. Anyway, what guarantee, as a consumer, do you or I have that he will actually finish the game? We have none. That's the problem with early access and crowdfunding in general. We don't have a guarantee at all, and he could just leave with all of us holding an empty bag with no product. Will he do this? Probably not. He's going to carry on working on the game until the death of the universe. This problem isn't just reserved to third-party sites. Steam has its fair share of problems with early access. The problem with me talking about this is some of these problems with early access are games that I still love and play though, which is weird, because I'm making a video, well, from your point of view, I'm making a video right now that's against early access. It's fucking not! But I play early access games and I give money to early access games. Anyway, that's not the point of this video. My dodgy consumerism is fucking none of your business, because none of you are donating on Patreon, so I don't give two shits. A good example of an unfinished game on Steam is Goddess 2.0, and fucking Goddess Wars. I mean, Peter, what the fuck, man? You and 22 Cans released these games unceremoniously into the public, and then just left them in a shit heap. Right, if you're not familiar, Goddess was like meant to revolutionize the God genre, and it just never did. It never took off. It was terrible. It was essentially a mobile phone game without the microtransactions, and then Goddess 2.0 came along, slightly improved it, but it was still a shit tip, and then Goddess Wars came along, and was just a mobile phone game with microtransactions, despite charging you to play it anyway. EA, you took notes from that, didn't you? Basically, Peter Molyneux, he's got a lot of renown, right? And the fact that the game was funded through Steam in early access at some point kind of gives it some clout. Not clout, but what's the word now? Credibility. It gives the game some credibility. And especially with a big name like Peter Molyneux behind him, who, if you're not old enough to actually remember Peter Molyneux, which makes me sad, he made, like, Fable, and he also worked for Bullfrog, headed a lot of good projects like Dungeon Keeper. Bullfrog, if you're old enough to remember Bullfrog, that is, before EA took them out the back of the shed, shot them in the fucking head, and said, nah, we own Dungeon Keeper now, have a shitty mobile phone game with microtransactions up the arsehole like Peter would have wanted. They're a pretty good studio. They made some great games. Black and White, Populous. Peter Molyneux headed both of those, and that gave Goddess a lot of credibility. It's too bad that he just left us in the dirt, taking our money as consumers and going, I'm gonna do my next project now, bye-de-bye! Fuck him. Fuck Peter Molyneux. I've got a video coming out, and I might just title it called Fuck Peter Molyneux. He's a cunt. But, yeah, no matter which way you approach this issue, there's still a decent chance of the developer, whether it's some unknown kid in his bedroom coding with one hand while wanking with the other, or Peter Molyneux coding with one hand while wanking with the other, there's a good chance you're still gonna get fucked over, and it sucks. It sucks ass. It sucks so fucking bad. I just feel sorry for consumers, and that's why I'm making this video, because people need to know. People need to fucking know. The early days of early access were a fucking shit tip, though. At least Greenlight kind of solved that. Right? Right? Alright, before y'all crucify me, enough of me hating on early access, okay? It's actually a pretty good system in a lot of ways, and I do actually want to give a good example of a third-party kind of crowdfunding campaign that went really well. And it's actually one of my favorite games of all time. It's not going to be another Yarn Sim switch out. It's called The Outer Worlds. No, it's not. It's called The Outer Wilds, not to be confused with The Outer Worlds. Every time me and my camera person did that during research. You may have heard of The Outer Wilds if you actually don't enjoy the feeling of grass under your feet. But for those of you that do actually go outside every now and again and aren't just locked up in a studio like me or locked up in front of a gaming computer like me and my friends, The Outer Wilds is essentially a open world space them up, exploring the secrets of the universe, why your world is ending, and how to stop it. I won't give any spoilers on any of the emotional beats, but it's a game that genuinely made me cry the first time I saw a playthrough of it, and there is a specific song that I cannot listen to without tears to this fucking day. Those of you who watch my content quite a lot know that it takes a lot for a game to do that to me. I don't really connect with characters very well and things. But this game truly broke me for a good week and a half. Also, I apologize for any background noise you may be hearing. I have neighbors who are doing construction work right now. It's fine. I didn't notify them I'd be recording today, so it's also partly on me. I didn't realize I'd be recording in my room today. I thought I'd be able to have the kitchen, but stuff went wrong. The game essentially had its first playable release in 2015, which showcased, or maybe 2014. It's a bit murky based on research. Some people say 2014, but that may have just been to some content creators. The game explores, in this demo, its rewinding time mechanic. Now, a lot of games have tried a rewinding time mechanic, not a lot of them have got them right, but I'm confident in saying The Outer Wilds got it fucking spot on, okay? It also showed a proof of concept for exploring the secrets of the game's solar system, and honestly, 5 years later in 2020, we got a fully realized game out of it, because people donated to the crowdfunding, and people allowed the developers to get this beautiful, beautiful piece of art and make it into reality. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. That's one of the victories of early access. The crowdfunding went a little wrong, though. The crowdfunding went a teeny little bit wrong. You see, one of the rewards for crowdfunding was a key for the game. The game released exclusively on Epic, and backers were given redeemable Steam keys. Steam keys for a game exclusive to Epic for the first 2 years. Great job, guys. Great job. I guess at least you followed through. 2 years after your game released in 2020. Your game actually released in 2018. I made a mistake earlier in the video. I'm sorry, guys. But you are good developers. I haven't played the DLC because it's full-on cosmic horror, and that shit can fuck off. The space anglerfish were bad enough for me. What can you do? An example of early access actually working out on Steam is the game Besiege. You've probably heard of Besiege. It got a lot of attention from YouTubers like Jacksepticeye, Official Nerd Cubed. I think many a true nerd may have covered it. It entered early access in 2015 through Steam's early access program, and honestly, was pretty fucking good. It got a lot of attention from those YouTubers I mentioned, but also got a pretty big community. This meant that even if the game had never came out and the developers had ran away holding the bag, you would have still got a shit ton of content. The game had things like being able to build your own vehicle to kill little sheep, and being able to build road levels, I believe, on the Steam Community Workshop. So you would have had infinite levels, infinite machines, infinite stuff. It would have been great, and its alpha level was an amazing little sandbox full of all the toys to show off how the game would work. It was majorly because of this the game was able to keep its popularity all the way until it came up. I do have something to say about popularity, because it's very possible that had this game never gone into early access, it would have received a much bigger surge of popularity upon its release. But that's not the point. The point is, I actually don't have much more to say. That's the point. I don't have much more to say about Besiege. Fucking sue me, YouTube. It's a great game. Buy it. Buy Besiege. But no, it's a great example of like the community coming together to save a project. And when it fully released, it released with a full campaign, a shit ton more shit, and well, a shit ton more shit. Yep, great wording there, Koto. A shit ton more mechanics, and I think that even spurred the community to get right back into making new stuff again, meaning you once again have infinite bullshit to do. Other than that, though, there's not really much more to say about the consumer side of early access games. I think it's time that we probably look at it from a developer point of view, so I'm going to move on to that, and also kneel for a little bit in between takes because my knees are starting to hurt. We should probably now look at it from a developer's point of view, actually. There won't really be examples in this area because I'm not a developer and I don't know the intricacies, even though I did study it for 2 years. I'm more just going to be making points and then explaining them a little bit because by the time I got to this, it was in the afternoon and I didn't want to spend as much time on this one, so let's go. When you, as a developer, release a game in early access, you're essentially fostering a symbiotic relationship between you and your audience. You're giving them content, they're giving you money. You're giving them more content after they've paid, they're giving you feedback on how to improve your content. There are two sides to this. One, it's pretty fucking essential to actually be able to respond to feedback as it comes in. But also, consumers are notoriously shit at making video games. I'm not going to name any names, I wouldn't want to piss off any developers. Alex. The problem with all of this, though, is that it is pretty reliant on you proving good faith, proving that you won't just take the money and run. And as time has gone on, consumers have gotten a bit more wary. That's the kind of point of this video, is to show how it's a double-edged sword for both developers and consumers, not one or the other. Because consumers have, rightly, gotten a little bit more wary of early access games due to the amount of abandoned projects, it means that you kind of have to spend money out of pocket in order to prove that you're actually going to work on this game. Now, for people like me, who have fuck all money, that's a bit of a shitter, because I can't hire someone to do the art for a game so that I can put out a demo so that people can pay. Plus, I want to release my games for free, but that's beside the point. It means there's a higher barrier for entry. Some would say that's a pretty good thing. I think that the low barrier for entry for indie games in early access has become a bit of a pain. If we look at Steam and you go to the under £5 tab, there are so many graphic novels that have got more titties in it than my browsing history that you'd honestly question the sanity of half the people making these. Again, the analogy of coding with one hand, wanking with the other. Which I would say don't shit where you eat, but I don't give a shit. The point of this little ramble is, at the end of the day, people work hard for their money. I'd like to think that over the years of my content, my videos on Scott Cawthon, my one video on Scott Cawthon, and my 2 videos on Yandere Dev, and their slightly anti-consumer measures, such as donating consumer money to oppressive campaigns and buying a sex doll with their consumer money, Alex, I've proven myself to be rather pro-consumer. I want to look out for the consumer, because at the end of the day, I started all of this as a consumer wanting to inform people. That's why I started writing The Art of Gaming before I took that behind the shed. That's why I started making my review backlog. That's why I rarely cover games more than once, because it's meant to be a first look on, should you pay this amount of money? I just want to help. That's all I actually want to do. So before you get your pitchforks out, before you light the torches, before you firebomb my house like a neo-Nazi and leak, please consider that. I'm only looking out for you. Your favorite developer may be great. Your favorite developer may do early access all the time, but that doesn't matter. It's not about that. It's about you being informed. About you being informed about the history of early access, its problems, and its upsides. The downside for developers, and this is a pretty big downside, because it pertains to both popularity and obligation and mental health. I covered this in my Yandere developer video, but all in all, developers get into this habit of releasing weekly or monthly content, and when they release weekly or monthly content, they start to feel obligated to carry on that trend. This isn't healthy. You're the boss. You're making the game. Do it in your own time. The problem is it also gives consumers a false sense. When you are constantly making content and releasing it on a weekly or monthly scale, you and your audience can both start to think that the game is getting more development than it is. Yandere Simulator is a perfect example of this, actually. I know I said I wouldn't give examples, but this has just popped into my head. The fact that a lot has been added over the last 7 years, therefore the fans think that a lot has been done, and Alex thinks that a lot has been done, detracts from the fact that we should be a lot further in after 7 years. This is the problem in general with early access games. Project Zomboid has been in early access since 2013. It's still not out. A lot has been added in those years, but looking at it objectively, even though I love that fucking game, means that the more you look at it, the more you realize it's nowhere near done, and it's actually still a beta after all that time. It's a bit of a bitch, actually. The other problem is that if you don't do this, you risk losing your audience. I mean, if you don't give these monthly updates, you do genuinely risk losing people to disinterest. I mean, I haven't played Project Zomboid or Landlord Super in ages because there hasn't been a new update that's particularly been big or interested me. I'm guilty of it myself. I'm not saying consumers are demons for doing it. I'm saying it's a risk. We're people. We're fickle. Humans are fickle creatures. It's just how we are. Because we're fucking cunts. The other side is, even if you manage to maintain that popularity all the way till the release date, you run the risk of when you release having fanfare within your own audience, but not being able to draw any new audience in. This is a bit of a problem because it means you've basically been funding your development with sales. Now you won't have a chance to actually make any ROI, return on investment. You won't be able to make profit. Because technically, all those sales that you were doing in early access, they weren't profit. They were funding. It's genuinely a double-edged sword, and kind of sucks. But that's all I actually have to say on this topic. Please do let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this kind of more green-screened, bit less professional, but also more professional, somehow rambly, on a topic kind of video with a script that I barely stick to. If you want to support me on Patreon, and you basically want to make my life easier, you can do that. There's a link in the description. It exists. It's actually for Psi8 Productions, because that's the media collective I belong to. Private, you can't join. Go fuck yourselves. If you wish to get involved with my community, we have a Discord server, and we also have a Twitter. The Twitter is for mostly updates and me talking shit at 3 in the morning when I can't sleep. And the Discord server is also for updates that are a bit more reliable, but also less comedic. And, essentially talking shit with the community about me behind my back because I don't look at it. The most probable choice that you're going to do is join the Discord and mute notifications and never look at it again. But that's fine. We have lovely people like our own lovely Logan, who has helped me film this video because fans are lovely. And we also have me, who is a cunt, and my partner Spacey, who is the most amazing person on this fucking earth. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a lovely, lovely, gorgeous, amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.